Chinese dissident artist Ai Weiwei has been refused a full UK business visa by the British government, which has claimed that Mr. Ai was convicted of a crime and that he lied on his visa application. Joining me to discuss the repercussions is Philip Stevens, our chief political commentator. Philip, let's start on the point of why Mr. Ai was denied this visa. The UK government saying that he lied on his application, but of course we know that in 2011 he was detained and interrogated in China but never charged with a crime. So what's the issue here?
Absolutely, and it looks a really rather odd discrepancy to say someone's been convicted when they've been sort of arbitrarily detained. Looks like a big mistake. What we don't know is whether this was a decision taken by an official, as it were, and the mistake therefore is an official one, or whether the decision was referred back to the official's political masters in London, and they, if you like, sought to concoct a rationale that could keep Ai Weiwei out of Britain during a sensitive period when Xi Jinping will be visiting the UK in the autumn. But what we can say is that this fits a pattern, and it's a pattern in which the British government puts its commercial interests with China above all political, human rights, other considerations.
Okay, so you talk about this pattern of behavior. What other examples are there, and is this just since David Cameron's been in power, both under the coalition and now?
Well, it's certainly been clear for the last 2 or 3 years that, and it's an open secret in Whitehall, that our China foreign policy, Britain's China foreign policy, is run from the Treasury rather than the Foreign Office. And the Treasury under George Osborne has what's called a prosperity agenda. A big chunk of that is getting people to getting China to invest in Britain, selling more to China, and getting China to invest in particular in the City of London.
And is this just particular to the UK-China relationship? So when it comes to China, is it fair to say that commercial interests come first, foreign policy comes second?
I think it's absolutely clear that foreign policy comes second to commercial interests. And in a way, the government's been rather unabashed about it, to the extent that David Cameron, after meeting the Dalai Lama a few years ago, then went to Beijing and to use the phrase, kowtowed particularly deeply to the Chinese, that George Osborne, the Chancellor, wanted to be the first to sign up to the Chinese-sponsored Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. And I think in a whole range of areas in the relationship with China, we've seen, much to the annoyance, incidentally, of the Americans, the US thinks we're far too, if you like, subservient to China. But yes, commercial policy first, strategy, geopolitics very much second.
And of course, David Cameron's now on tour in Asia. He's visiting some of China's neighbors. What can we expect from that?
Yes, well, David Cameron has been this week. He's been in Indonesia, Singapore, Vietnam and Malaysia. They want to talk about strategic security. He's made it very clear this week that all he wants to talk about is getting them to invest in Britain or to buy British.
So it's purely commercial?
Purely commercial. It used to be called mercantilist, and I think as far as Asia is concerned, Britain now has an almost entirely mercantilist foreign policy.
Okay, Philip, thank you very much.
Thank you.